This is Due by Friday, the weekly challenge podcast with Merlin Mann, Alex Cox, and Max Temkin. This week's challenge, read Art of the Deal by Donald J. Trump.
Oh, is this a show?
Mm-mm. I'm still eating.
I have so many questions for you guys.
Really? You got questions? I'm happy to answer.
Yes.
I'm eating an RX bar, but I'm almost done with it. Let's start the show.
Is the RX bar the one that's made out of 2 egg whites, 1 prune,
Mm-hmm. You're close.
3 cauliflowers? You know what I'm talking about? Those ones?
Golden rings. 3 egg whites, 6 almonds, 4 cashews, 2 dates. No BS. And BS means bad stuff.
I want those bars, but
How much sugar is in there?
All of it. Hang on.
See,
Stand by.
I'm having a sugar-free Red Bull. Wait, right? I do,
God.
right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fine.
You live such a comforting lie. Let's see. Total carbs. It's got 15 grams of sugar.
That sounds like some BS to me.
Well, it's got 12 grams of protein. 12 grams of protein. That is a massive amount of protein.
It's crackling a little bit.
I should get a Crackle bar. That's a good ass bar. Now I got stuff. I got BS in my teeth. 3 egg whites, 6 almonds, 4 cashews, 2 dates, 2 dates, no BS. Chocolate sea salt, 1.83 ounces, 12-gram protein bar.
Those things are, they're like not really distinguishable nutritionally from a candy bar.
And?
Right? Okay, I'm just saying, like, I got very excited. I saw those at the healthy grocery store that I go to, and I was like, oh, like a healthy energy bar. And then and it has so much sugar. It's like, you might as well eat like a Twix bar.
All food has 4 things in it. Food has fats, proteins, carbohydrates, and water. That is the entirety of what the pie graph can bring.
But what are those things made of? Powder. It's all powder. It comes from powder. It returns to the powder.
I never thought
of
it that way. So you're saying that is a construction. Like this is a Plato's cave, and we're looking at a shadow on the wall, but ultimately all the shadows are made of powder.
A man can never step into the same powder twice, Merlin, because he's not the same man. And it is
It's like
not
my
the same
balls,
powder.
Parmenides. I'm a Heraclitean.
Yeah, I saw you did you very casually mention on a Roderick episode that I just listened to that you did your dissertation on Horkheimer and Adorno?
No, it was bad. It was bad. I read the Horkheimer and Adorno. I read the Frankfurters. But you know what people love is smacking
Love the
noises.
Frankfurts.
I more Todd Gitlin, some Gramsci stuff, that kind of thing.
Never got into Gramsci. I really, I have a lot of guilt about this because I had a very cool visiting professor who taught our a critical theory class, and we read a lot of Frankfurt School. So we did like Sela Benhabib and Horkheimer and Adorno, and I don't know, a bunch of that stuff. And I really struggled with it because I was like also just starting to work in politics in American politics, and I was really trying to do the mental gymnastics to like reconcile, people's capacity for cognitive dissonance is incredible because if you find yourself doing something, you'll go to almost any length to justify the thing that you're doing, right? And I really struggled with the critical theory stuff, and I was like, I have to find the flaw in the Death Star here, right? Like I have to disprove it. And I don't know, like the more experience I get and the older I get and the more I learn about the world, I keep coming back to it. Especially in like recent political events, it's the only thing that holds up. It's like there are all these other frameworks of maybe what fuels American capitalism and democracy, and to me it's like only the Frankfurt School stuff is left standing. It's only the materialism.
I see. This is a very general observation. I take your point. I think one of the nice things about going to a liberal arts school is that if you're fortunate, like I feel like I was, you will be presented with a handful of problems that you will never solve, and they're problems that can't be solved. And the fact that you're confronted with logical, mathematical, certain kinds of things that can be at once very satisfying and explain a lot, and at the same time can never really solve anything. So I'm going to toss out, Gödel's incompleteness theorem. I'm going to toss out the sickness unto death. I'm going to toss out the cognitive, the fallacies and all of the cognitive errors. The thing is, like, it's like the Gödel thing. Like, if this is a full system, it's not really a full system. Like, what? Like, I know that's a stoner thing, but the more you really turn that over in your head, you get into the fractals. Yes, I read Gödel, Escher, Bach. I was a stoner. But like, for all of those things, try your rational brain in a way that is really satisfying and opens you up to the ideas that on the one hand, no matter how learned you get, there are some things that are going to still be unsolvable and incomplete. But then on the other hand, you know what? No matter how learned you are, there's still going to be things that are unsolvable and incomplete. Like, it's okay. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be learned.
And obviously the classic one in undergraduate philosophy is people trying to deal with free will. And it's like a sign of like how well you're accommodating the philosophy program and like understanding your reading, that you don't harp on whether people have free will or not.
The one that obsessed me,
I was truly embarrassed myself.
You can't really think yourself out of it.
No, you have to be, everyone eventually either becomes a compatibilist or they don't understand philosophy. They're like not really getting it.
I don't pretend to be any kind of an expert on this, but I'll just say that my particular like queer fascination in college in some ways was with my understanding of cultural hegemony. And that's what led me to some of the interest. Mainly I was interested in TV and like how we dealt with TV as like a political thing. And when I learned a little bit about cultural hegemony, that's when some of the Tumblr started clicking. And I just became pretty obsessed with this idea that the dominant ideology will subsume every attempt to undo the dominant ideology. And that kind of broke my brain a little bit. And it made me a little bit of a not conspiracy nut exactly.
Woo, the hypernormalization is such a good portrait of that.
Oh, you know what we should do? Yeah. But the whole idea that, every time you see it in small, like quotidian ways when somebody like Cassidy gets up there and says, "Oh, you don't worry, Jimmy Kimmel, we got a Jimmy Kimmel test. We got it all wired." And he goes, "Yay, he's got it all wired." And you're like, no, that's just the thing that he said. He's just going to keep doing the other thing. That's just the thing that he said, and like, no matter how radical something becomes, like there's this path of radicalization. And so for me, that meant, and nobody fucking cares, for me, that meant when I'm watching TV and I feel like I'm smarter than the show that I'm watching, that is a great way to keep me watching a show because I think I'm smart. And you know what? Fucking everybody who's watching that TV show thinks they're smarter than that TV show, and that's why people watch that TV show.
When I was in my early 20s, one of the big activities that my friends would like to do was they would want to go to the Golden Nugget at 3 a.m. and you'd sit there and you'd like have an omelet and drink coffee, and then you just people watch. You'd look at all the fucking weirdos that are at the Golden Nugget at 3 a.m. and you'd be like, I wonder what that guy's story is. He's a fucking pirate. That guy's got a wooden leg like and a bird on his shoulder. He's so cool. And to me, I never was able to get into that because I was never able to draw any distinction between the people that were in there that were the weirdos at 3 a.m. and us who were in there at 3 a.m., right? We were the weirdos. We were in the Golden Nugget. Like, it's like us being there to make fun of the other people is its own pathetic, wasted life of a thing to be, having your omelet at the Golden Nugget at 3 a.m.
Oh my God, you're an intellectual cuck. You're literally a cuckold. You like watching other people be weird. That's your turn on.
I don't. I actually don't. And for the same reason, I don't like watching bad movies because I feel like it's like, yes, I get it. They made Sharknado so that we would watch it. I get it.
Not gonna cuck you.
Have I ever explained my grand unified cultural hegemony hipster theory on the podcast? Heard on that?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Did you want to do that now?
That's pretty quick. My theory.
I
theory
hear
about the.
Because it would have stopped you if we said, yes, you have already said
that. Yeah, you could just lie and just say, yeah, you talked about that.
That's
and
a
then
great
be like,
idea. Yep.
Did I ever explain the use of calipers to determine jewelry?
So my theory is basically that there's always been the mainstream culture, and then you have a counterculture, and then eventually the counterculture becomes commercialized and like subsumed into the mainstream, and the mainstream sells it back to people. So people are always like, oh, the hippies were over when you could buy hippie clothes in Walmart, when capitalism had like fully subsumed it and it was just being sold back to people. And I think what's happening, I think like the weird thing that's happening now is that stuff is subsumed immediately. So like you had Occupy Wall Street, and later that day there were people on Cafe Press telling "We are the 99% t-shirts." So the treadmill is just going faster and faster and faster, and there isn't even time for a counterculture to develop before it can become part of the marketing, part of the market, and it's sold back to people. And that pushes people, like young people, or my generation at least, is like, that's why people like the conscious embrace of irony and of shitty things. So people go to dive bars and they drink PBRs and they wear, shitty clothes, resale clothes and stuff like that. And the whole hipster aesthetic is like, well, try to sell this back to me, right? It's like they're so desperate for authenticity. They're like, I bet you can't sell that back to me like that. They're like looking for those things that don't have value in capitalism and then consciously embracing them. And then when you do like something, you like it ironically, so that when it becomes lame, you can be like, well, I didn't always like, I always like that at arm's distance.
Well encapsulated by 2 Seconds on The Simpsons, when the two kids are in the audience at Lollapalooza, and the one kid goes, "Oh, here comes that cannonball guy. He's cool." And the other guy goes, the other guy goes, "Are you being sarcastic, dude?" And he goes, "I don't even know anymore."
Speaking of dialectic enlightenment, you had a Postmates deliver a new Apple Watch band to you, the Milanese Loop.
Oh.
Is that, please describe this. Alex and I were both stunned by this development.
Not only that, I just need to mention that Merlin did not know that you could swap out the Apple bit.
We talked about this. We talked about this in our aborted podcast from yesterday. That was very bad, and we won't be revisiting. What? But basically, we were talking about the Apple Watch bands, and I was talking about that I really like my Milanese loop, the little metal loop, and then you just got one. Mm-hmm. And
how's it going? What is the question at the heart of this? What is hard to understand?
I don't know what.
I've wanted one of these.
Do you like it?
That wasn't really your question. That was the backdoor pilot. You're trying to make a different point that I'm a fancy lad. That's what it is, right? Is that what it is? Because I know how much you hate. I know how much you hate capitalism, and this is going to be your backdoor pilot.
I would have a gold doubloon postmated to the office immediately if that was possible. I don't have no shame.
I would love it if my iPhone 10 came with a Postmate, and I would say, "Yep, 5 stars."
He should come with his own microfiber rag. You know that we've talked about you know how fancy electronics from Chinese companies do? It comes with a little special microfiber like schmata that you can like rub the fingerprint oil, your like finger oil off of the device with. The Postmate should come with their own one of those.
Yeah, that hasn't happened so much. Mainly they haven't even learned how to close the top of the bag from McDonald's so it doesn't get cold. You fold the top over.
At least you got your fries.
So I'm kind of surprised you guys don't have this. Have you ever gone to Apple, the store, online and bought something and looked at the delivery options?
Yes, and usually it is like 2 to 3 weeks fastest, or pick up at Lincoln Park Apple Store today.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's all this is I think it's a really nice thing Apple has added, which is you can go in, and if it's something that's in stock at a store, so you go in, and I think it's actually a pretty confusing bit of UI, but you go in and you'll see the do you want it for free delivery in 2 days? Do you want to pick it up at your local store? And then there'll be another option there for 2-hour delivery. It doesn't say Postmates on it, but it's just 2-hour delivery. And for $20, they'll bring it to your house. So shaming me over paying $19 for a Veblen good to be delivered the same day seems a little bit on the nose. But if you need something or want something on that day, they will do it. And that's what they did. And then the kid comes out. The kid comes and he brings it, and you got to sign for it, which kind of not sign for it. But you got to be there.
And what's the deal with the band? Did it live up to your hopes and dreams?
Let's see. Yeah. So anyway, the abortive episode, we talked about the fact that I learned literally yesterday that I thought you had to I thought you were only able to accommodate bands for a certain level of watch. And in my head, anyway, most any band would work on the fanciest watch. Why? What is funny? I teach you so much about Apple every day.
You're Merlin Man. That's why. I'm sorry. Continue. I'm sorry.
It's a nice band. It's fine. It's not drastically better. My daughter loves playing with it, but yeah, I like it okay. I like it all right. I don't know. It's nice. I like it. I think it's very clever. Can I bring up one thing? I put this in the notes. I got to bring something up. I didn't want to mention this. I don't feel good about this. We have to talk about the divot in my wrist. I wear a watch all the time unless it's charging, and I noticed yesterday I now have a divot in my left wrist where the watch goes.
All right. Oh God.
Ooh, I kind of have that.
I have an invagination, guys. I've got a little top.
I kind of have it too, honestly.
No, seriously. Look at your two wrists next to each other. So have your wrists straight out, and now bend them just slightly. I have an 1/8 of an inch hole in my wrist where my watch goes. Okay, because I wear it 22 hours a day. Do you have it?
I have a little hole in my wrist too. Is this a white guy thing? Are we wearing our watches too tight? Is it like we're like lacing up our sneakers too tight?
All I know is like there's gonna be a funny cause of death for me, and a lot of forms filled out. One of the myriad ways. We're still kind of boiling down which one of his.
There's a divot.
Is it like the Chinese water torture where you just wear the watch a little bit every day, but then in like 20 years you're there's no
The
more
preferred
wrist?
term is Asian American
Yeah,
water torture.
one day you go to put the watch on and it just clasps into itself because there's no more wrist left.
All right. If you look at your wrists from the front, like if you're like clenching your fist and looking at the underside of your wrist, it's much more. Oh wow.
Okay, are you funning on me, or do you notice I have a noticeable?
No, I
hole
have
in my wrist.
I have a slight indentation in my wrist. I feel like if I took it off for an hour, it would go away, but I can't tell.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna keep my watch
I just
off.
bought this
for
costly band.
show.
I'm not
Like,
taking it off.
I do wear my watch though to sleep, and maybe that's just because I track my
Yeah.
sleep with my broken Series 0 watch.
Man, you're fancy. You had Postmates bring you a watch band. Beep a doop boop boop. Did you see how big his car was though in that image? It was a very large image.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
I think I like it. I think I like it, and I'm very excited for my new boy watch to come. I'm excited about that one.
Oh, did you get the dot?
Yeah, I'll probably like put some liquid paper on there or something, try to cover it up. That's stupid.
Get a little Sharpie. You
So
get a little Sharpie.
stupid. Why
Yeah.
would you do that?
I think it looks cool.
It looks good on the $3,000 pretty ceramic white one.
That's the one
I
it should
think.
be on. Yeah.
And it should indicate I am a fancy man. This is my fancy watch, but I don't want it on the regular guy. I don't.
When it clashes,
I
it
don't want
clashes
on
with
my
some
poor
of the
man's
bands.
$400
It
watch.
clashes with the kind of pinky-ish
Yeah.
sports band.
I can't wear my purple band.
Oh, what a difficult time to be alive.
I'm very serious about my Carmex
Mm-hmm.
question for the both of you. You're both Carmex users. Can I put this in my
Absolutely.
nose?
In your nose?
Absolutely.
What do you say more? What are you talking about?
My nose hurts so much. My allergies are so bad. I have from our previous hair removal challenge. You use those nose clippers. It permanently oh god, my nose.
So you got
is so
what do you got?
fucked up.
Crust? You got
And
crust
it
and
hurts.
cracks?
No, it feels like a chapped
chapped
lip
nostril.
in my nostrils.
You can
Yeah.
absolutely do that as long as you don't mind being addicted to Carmex. You'll be fine. Just put it in there. Just
Okay,
really get in
cool.
there. Put it all around.
I
Rim
think
it.
the ship
Alright.
is. I think the ship has sailed on that.
Oh no! You know how people have like cheat days
Yeah.
for diets. This is my cheat day for Carmex. Like I'm like, oh god, this morning put
I'm
it
fitting this-
on.
I'm fitting this
and you just
pizza in
kind of
my
sink
mouth.
into bed. Yeah.
That's I think what you do is you really dig in there. You take a pinky, if I may say, and you really you put it right into the Carmex. You really get in there, really more than you think you need, right? Like other situations.
Mm-hmm.
Now you want to get and penetrate into there, and then you're going to do a turn and then another turn. Oh, God, I wish I had some Carmex right now. What can I use? I want to put something in my nose.
God, I kind of have a little craving
God, I'm out of
myself.
peroxide.
Should we take 5 and
I
go get
wish I
some
had
Carmex?
We should get some
I got a Q-tip
Q-tips.
right here. Hear that? Yep.
Oh, you really do.
That's an old one.
Oh,
You should see my desk. It's kind of a little bit of a situation in here. I got 2 Dr. Creator bags. Oh, one's open. Oh no. There's a
You going
now you gotta
are you
eat
going
it.
all Chicago mix?
yeah. I got a bag
or-
of bags of Dr. Creator Chicago, and I ate a few, and they've been here for apparently I'm going to say a week. So I need to get rid of those.
So you don't fuck with the other creator flavors.
Well, I was trying to figure out your Annie's Fannies, whatever you got. You got your big jug of corn, and I was trying to figure out what mix to get, and I couldn't figure it out. I want to get that kind, the kind you guys got. Remember they sent you? Sorry, in a pre.
Oh, the Elston
previously.
mix.
Elston mix.
No, wait.
Okay.
Wait. No, that's not it. Well, Elgin mix. I don't know. Consult the show notes. I assume Alex put it in there. They're very comprehensive.
Oh my
Yes.
God! I searched for Elgin mix on Google, and my first return is digga. Elgin man tried to pass off pancake mix as $27,000 worth of cocaine.
That's so cool. Oh my God.
Police.
Okay,
Police
all right,
say.
hang on now.
All right.
Hang on now. I think this could be a startup idea for us.
Oh my god.
All right. Give me your pitch. Dun dun.
A kilo.
Dun,
An
dun.
Yeah,
entire
you do a little bale of Bisquick. You tie it off with a string so it like looks menacing.
Oh my gosh.
And you go to I don't know, some high school student, and you're like, hey buddy, you want enough fentanyl to kill 20,000 people?
I think you could even be more straightforward. If you understand hipsters better than anybody and you hate capitalism, so you go in and you say to them, hey, you ready to do some pancaking? You ready to pancake? And they go, fuck yeah, I want a pancake.
The kids are calling it pancaking, but what you don't know about this potent new party drug could kill you.
Pancaking. Caked.
Oh.
Griddle cakes. These are terms that are used to describe pancake mix.
Follow-up from the Chicago Tribune. Patrons might still walk into a Garrett popcorn shop and ask for, quote, Chicago mix, but the company is now legally required to call its famous caramel and cheese-flavored popcorn combo by another name. What? The owner of Garrett Popcorn Shop settled a suit brought by Candyland over the rights to the name, quote, Chicago mix, according to court documents filed earlier this month. The owners of Candyland, a small St. Paul, Minnesota, not even in Chicago. Can you fucking believe that?
God.
The owners of Candyland, a small St. Paul, Minnesota-based popcorn chain, filed federal trademark infringement lawsuits against the owner of Garrett Popcorn Shops and two other companies in August, alleging that these three had wrongly branded their popcorn confections Chicago Mix. Candyland holds the trademark to the, quote, Chicago Mix mark for flavored popped popcorn. Under the terms of the settlement with Garrett Popcorn Shops, also known as Caramel Crisp LLC, hell yeah, the chain will... God, this is making me hungry for popcorn. The chain will no longer use, quote, Chicago Mix when it refers to popcorn in the United States. Oh my God. Like Garrett's recipe, the Chicago Mix variety sold by the other two companies named in lawsuits, Waukegan-based Cornfields and Cinders Lance, combine only cheese and caramel corn. Cornfield sells bagged popcorns under the GH Creators name, while Snyder's Lance packages its Chicago Mix under the Okie Doke brand. So this is big popcorn. They had a fucking battle, and they went after the Dr. Creators.
Well, and they went in and they named names. King of Pop, a.k.a. Gourmet Gift Baskets, listed their product as Classic Chicago Mix TM, falsely using TM. After months of repeated demands of stop infringing, they did finally change their mark to another infringing mark, Chicago Style. They were told that Chicago Style was not an acceptable substitute from day one, but the infringement continues. Number 2, Popcorn Stop. When we tried to contact this company, they didn't want to much. They didn't even want to tell who the owners were, so we could probably address the cease and desist letter. They stopped using the Chicago Style, and it changed it, openly refused to stop using the mark that continued to use Chicago cheese and caramel to identify number 3, Popcorn Palladium. Used to use Chicago Style. Now they just call it Chicago. Number 4, Popcorn Papa. Chicago Style, which is hidden within the tin filling menu.
I like that.
It is our duty to market. It is our duty to police the market to prevent and remove infringement. We have been highly successful in protecting our rights over the years. Our reviews of the popcorn products are based solely on our opinions. We encourage you to try the original Chicago Mix R in a Circle, which holds the highest standard when it comes to flavored popped corn. Put it in show notes. Shit, dog. That is a litigious community. I had no idea this was such a litigious community.
If I would have put Minneapolis Mix or St. Paul Mix, would it be popular in another state? Lamb said. A big city name usually draws attention to a product.
A big city like St. Paul.
It's crazy that you can even trademark Chicago Mix. Like, I would think that was so generic. Like, what is it? It's
Right,
I don't know.
right,
It's not a
right.
word they made up, right? It's like, I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't come to Prairie Home Companion and slap the dick out of your mouth. Get it together. Jesus Christ, people. Is this real? This is America, man. Like, is this how it really needs to be?
This is America. You got to let them play.
Let me get this straight. One day, a kid forgets to wear his jacket. For the rest of his life, he's not Boogie.
It's really about the American city.
I just rewatched the pilot of The Wire. As you do
His
sometimes.
accent
You
is
just-
so bad in the pilot.
Oh, it's very bad. It's a Kevin Spacey-esque, non-committal sort of.
Let me understand this. You're out there, you're throwing bones.
Alex, have you ever seen The Wire? You should really watch The Wire.
I know. I'm gonna get to it. You know they remastered it.
Yeah,
Are they?
I have very strong feelings about the remaster. Yeah, but whatever.
Wait, really? No, now I you don't like the remaster?
Didn't they mess with the 4x3 and the
So
widescreen and
it was
everything?
shot in 4:3, and David Simon made one of the God, where to even start with this? One of the things that people say about The Wire that's like the thing that everyone knows about it on their little note card is like, well, it's not a well-made show. It's like not like a beautiful show, but it's really well written, right? Or it's like there's nothing like great about the filmmaking. Totally wrong.
Yeah.
The
Agree.
cinematography and the filmmaking of The Wire is fucking brilliant. It is so well shot. It's so well done. It was so
And the
conscious.
blocking, just the blocking, the scene of them at the crime scene, whatever, episode 5, that famous scene, the scene of them trying to get the desk through the door. These are epic television moments.
It is so well shot. People say it's not well shot because the cinematography is inconspicuous. I think that's what they mean by it. When you look at the cinematography of Game of Thrones, they always pause for a minute and the camera hovers and they're like, "Look at this shit, huh? You guys like that shit? Look at that."
Like that wall?
Yeah, we got the orange and the purple. Look at that shit. You know,
We do yellow and blue.
Look at that. You guys like that shit? Take a picture with your iPhone. But The Wire doesn't do that. It's meant to bring you into the world. It's very generous in the way that it works, but it's nonetheless brilliant. And David Simon made the creative decision that even though he was shooting the show in the era of HD on HBO, when everything else had long been shot in 16:9, that he was going to shoot it in 4:3. And the reason is he didn't want it to feel like a movie. He wanted it to feel like you were watching the stories of these regular people. And he felt that at that time, for most living people, the 4:3 aspect ratio was more realistic. It was more what you were accustomed to looking at on your television. It was more human. It was smaller. It was less conspicuous. It was less saying, look at these characters in a film. And then because of that, as a result, a lot of the shots and the cinematography and the way that they frame everything is you're always looking in through something so that the director can make a letterbox. So you're always peering in through a window. You're always looking in, under the awning of a building. Like they're very clever at making a frame for themselves for the shot using the surroundings. And that is all totally lost when you lop it off and go to 16:9.
So I misspoke. I have a version of The Wire in HD that fell off a truck that keeps the 4:3 aspect ratio. I agree. No, this is garbage.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
How did they do that?
Yeah. Well, they just cropped it.
They took the 16:9 and cropped it back to 4:3.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not how they mastered the 4. I mean, I have doubts about that because they a lot of it is already cropped, right? They took the film and cropped it smaller. So you can't just crop it even further to force it back into 4:3.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the David Simon show. He wrote this amazing thing about like what Max said about his decisions.
Oh, yeah,
and the
put it in
filmmaking
notes.
of it.
That's awesome. I'd love to see that.
It's super good. Oh, I like David Simon. We should really watch The Wire.
You should really watch The Wire.
Should really consider watching it. All right, follow up from yesterday.
Good.
Do you guys know
what?
James Damore, the guy?
We're not going to talk about what Tiff is eating?
The Google Memo thing. We could talk about Tiff is eating.
I don't know. I just thought it's something I like to offer to people because Tiff, our friend Tiff, listens to our program.
What do we think she's eating?
Well, today she's having lunch. Her lunch today is a capricious septum of tempeh with flight of autumn mustardinas and rubella quick radish relish dishes. It's a sous vide at 129 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 and a half minutes, served on a plank of ochre balsa, sliced diagonally.
Sounds like it might have an edible flower in it.
Are you finished with your flowers?
You can eat those.
And I just want to say, for the love of God, I hope Tiff is taking this in good humor because I love the fact that she listens to our program. And I love seeing her fancy foods. And that's all I want to say about that. I hope she's not mad at us. Do you think she's mad at us? I love Tiff.
No.
I don't think she'd ever tell us if she was.
She was listening to that other program. I think it's Hi. I don't know. It has a gray background. Hi. And there's a little snowman, and I can't wait for Christmas. Did you see that one guy? Look at that.
I don't look at the ones that have Hi in them. I'm not interested in that program. The Black Stump. So, did you hear about the engagement? Wasn't that nice? Did you hear that? The people got engaged and the guys wearing the Black Stump shirt? Wasn't that nice?
No, I haven't listened.
I'm not familiar with their work.
No.
Duke boys, dig dug. What do you got on? Google Boy? What do you got for Google Boy?
He had a good tweet yesterday. This is the guy who
His
wrote
brand is rapidly evolving.
This is the guy who wrote the memo. He got his calipers out and he's like, consider the evidence, and women have inferior brains and they're bad at computer code. And then he got fired from Google, and for a while he had. Honestly, he had the greatest username on Twitter, which was Fired for Truth, like the number 4.
Number 4.
That's the coolest name. I'm sad that I don't have that name on Twitter.
He had plenty of characters, but he went with the 4.
It was so fucking cool. That's the coolest thing that anyone has ever done is make their Twitter name Fired for Truth. But so yesterday he makes a Twitter poll, and he says, by the way, James Damore, he looks like who's the guy from Girls, or he's like the new, he's like
Oh,
He looks like Rilo
Kylo.
Kylo.
Yeah.
he looks like Kylo Rilo, but if he was left out in the sun and he melted.
Right, right.
His face is he's like oily. He looks waxen. He literally looks like he's like out and on a hot day and he's melting.
He looks moist.
He constantly looks moist. But okay, so he tweets yesterday, the KKK is horrible. We're already off to a good start. And I don't support them in any way, but
But
can we admit that their internal title names are cool, e.g., quote, Grand Wizard?
Yeah.
And then he does a poll, and it's like, options, yes, no, the names aren't cool, no, that's racist, and no, other. Now, I voted for no, that's racist so I could see the results, but yes was the winning answer with 30%. And then he goes, and then people got mad at him, right? Because he's saying one of the dumbest things that anyone has ever said on Twitter. And then he says, you've moralized an issue when you can't criticize its heroes or acknowledge any positive aspect of its villains. What a fucking, that's like he has like galaxy brain. Like that is the craziest way to look at, he's like, now, you know what? The one thing about the KKK is finally we've moralized them. We've made morals about the KKK, you guys. We've gone too far. We have morals about them. We can't acknowledge the heroes of the KKK or the positive aspects of their villains.
I just want to know, like, well, first of all, I feel bad about making fun of his appearance, but now I'm doing a Google image search of him, and, like, if I saw him on the street, I would just, like, want to push his face up. Just be like, are you okay? Just, like, let's smoosh it up a bit.
Why don't you smile?
Hey, sir, the T-shirt's really... See, it says Google. Cool. Man, but like what does he do you think this person has like real life friends, and what do? They're not sitting at the Golden Nugget.
They sit around and they talk about how cool the KKK is, and like, man, God. I wish I was a Grand Wizard. That's so cool. That's awesome.
Well, this feels to me like the kind of dumb thing I would have said in high school or college. Where I would go like, well, but seriously, you really, they made the trains run on time. They had cool parades. Where like, you might think that, and that might in some way be true. But like, if you say that, like, who will benefit from what you just said? Like, are you going to be lauded for being a great, whataboutist? Are you going to be seen as an aesthetic influencer? Like, you know what? Maybe just avoid the compliments to the KKK unless you have a reason why you think that would be useful. And then he makes it about him. That's the beauty part. And this is what makes this side of the aisle so interesting, is the way that you could say something really stupid that has no good purpose to it, and then make it all about you.
You're inviting people to get mad at you, and then you're mad that they're mad at you.
And guess who never gets to do this is black ladies. Like, you're not allowed to do that. Only white guys are allowed to say such stupid fucking bullshit and then get their feelings hurt about it and say, no, you're the racist. It's like,
well, they're mad at Colin Kaepernick because he like sat down during the national anthem or whatever, and Colin Kaepernick can't play
football.
Football. Yeah, Colin Kaepernick can't play football because he was too rude and he sat down during the national anthem. But here, this guy's fucking going like, "Yeah, the KKK is pretty cool if you really think about it, right?" And then it's such a fucking grievance. He's like, "How dare you get mad at me for saying the KKK was cool? You're suppressing my free speech. I was fired for truth." Well, it's like, which one is it? Which one is it? Is it, are you a First Amendment activist and everyone has the right to offend?
I didn't say that I liked the KKK. I was
just
just making a remark, and then you chose to make it very racist in your own way. That's racism. Racism is I can't give a casual compliment to the KKK for the cool names.
I was merely talking about how aesthetically cool and powerful and awesome the KKK was. I didn't say I like the KKK.
I just said I really like their
awesome
titles.
Feelings in me.
I think this is like a Milo hippopotamus type thing where he's like trying to build his brand, or what? Like, what's the end game? Is it just to have his Reddit buddies?
There's like one guy from Second City, like some white dude who's like suing Second City for racial discrimination,
God.
Which is like, I mean, best of luck, buddy. But that's good. There's one thing about the Chicago comedy scene. It's that everyone's really going to rally behind you and your false racial discrimination.
And none of that was
against,
that he feels like he was discriminated against because he was white and he didn't get opportunities. Is that it?
No, because people were rude to him because they held up a sign that said honky or something like that as part of it. But he was in a comedy
Who's
show.
ready
so
to
I don't know.
laugh?
It's like.
But you know,
Anyway.
it's also that, I mean, and this is I'm just shooting fish in a barrel here, but you know, it's also that whether it's Cernovich or Alex Jones or any of that, I mean, let's just be honest. Let's be fancy for a minute. The bar for pleasing the audience that these people wish to reach is ridiculously low, especially given the fact, let's even take away the bots. Let's take away the bots. The bar for this is so low because just shit posting nonsense about whatever is a totally fine way to clear the bar for this stuff. There's not going to be a critical discussion about this. Or there's not even going to be a pseudo-critical discussion about this. You just say stupid horse shit, and then the people who do have an actual thought about it respond, and they seem like bad sports. That's part of the problem, is that it's just a bunch of people wallowing around in their own and other people's shit and talking about how brown it is. Haven't we reached a great state?
Well, it's why I think that the kind of comedy that we do about, you know, making fun of how this guy looks or just sort of funny, reading their funny gaffes or whatever. It's why I think it's like permissible and progressive comedy is like, you know, they have all of the appearances of propriety and they go, well, hey, I just want to have a conversation. I just want to show up and I want to have a conversation about the issues and you're being rude and making fun of me. But that's not what they're doing, right? They don't actually seek to engage people in good faith and debate. They actually they're just being provocative, and they're just making noise for the sake of making noise and offending people to offend them and trying to shift the debate into making it more and more acceptable to talk about racism. And what can you do? It's like you can't ignore them because then they just get more and more provocative until the point where they're intolerable.
Yeah.
And you can't. And by the way, I know that is one of the things people say is like, just ignore them and they'll go away. Like, we tried that and now Donald Trump is president. So what else you got? Now we need something new. So it's like, okay, we tried ignoring them and not engaging. That didn't really work. They are gaining cultural power very quickly and they're actually threatening people, you know, like my friends and neighbors. So that didn't work. Well, then you could also try to engage them in debate, and you could stand up at the podium and be like, no, let's actually debate whether the women's skull shapes make them good or bad programmers. But it's like even having that debate is a farce, right? Because there's not two sides, right? I'm not going to engage in both sidesism of whether Muslims are secretly trying to institute Sharia law in the United States, because that's an insane conspiracy theory, and I can't have a debate about the facts because the premise of the question is so flawed. So it's like, well, what's left? It's you make fun of them. You have to ridicule them, and you have to expose the inherent contradictions in their thinking and their logic, their ridiculous worldview, and the utter stupidity and simplicity of their fan base.
Sort of skirting around one of the things in this Twitter poll. Like, I want to see it too. Well, like, yes, no, that's racist. But the reason I don't know if he's like a full like hippopotamus is that he has the option. No, the names aren't cool. Of course the names aren't cool. Grand Wizard's the stupidest fucking thing. And like, what did was that part of the debate? Is that like actually part of his thing of like, I really wonder if other people think this is cool.
Oh my God. I mean, but also like,
so fucking weird.
If you want to keep digging, I mean, if you keep scraping at this and you keep scraping and scraping and scraping, it's like, what does it mean for something to be cool or not? Is he saying, what his argument is saying is, okay, guys, absent all historical context and all meaning, is the name Grand Wizard cool? And I don't know. I'm not actually really. I mean, the Grand Wizards, what they advocate is
of his very innocent question. It's a very innocent question.
But it's like,
Yeah.
but it's like, but I get. Okay, so it's like, like, I don't know. Like, how do I evaluate? Like, what the Grand Wizards want is to murder me. So
Yeah.
I have a hard time sort of saying, well, just
God, you're
purely
so
on aesthetics,
emotional.
like, is their
God, so
their
fucking
costume
emotional.
cool? Like, it's his own. That's his unique privilege to be like, well, I don't have to care what they say. So are they cool aesthetically? Right? It's like, you know, it's like this guy's not actually trying to murder me with a machete. So is his machete
the gas
cool?
chambers and the furnaces. Should Jews have been charged for their lodging at the camps? I'm just asking as a real estate investor. Don't make this emotional. Don't make this weird. I'm not saying I approve of what happened. I'm just asking a simple question. They have all the money.
What do you guys think is better, the bespoke KKK sheets or the parachute KKK sheets?
Oh,
what's
your thread count?
So the part of the problem, a big sheet. I learned a wonderful word. I was kidding, of course. I love Hello Internet. I learned a great word this week. I can't believe I never heard before, and that word is Kafka trapping. I'm sure Max already knows this. Oh my God,
don't
I love
actually.
this so much. Kafka trapping. It is a sophistical and unfalsifiable form of argument that attempts to overcome an opponent by inducing a sense of guilt. Guilt as in you've done something, not as in you feel bad about it. By inducing a sense of guilt and using the opponent's denial of guilt as further evidence of guilt.
Oh,
Oh,
this is a
shit.
big left
In
leftist.
reference, but it's in reference
This
to,
is-
but
well,
the-
not really
the deep part,
leftist.
Kafka part is, of course,
Yeah.
that it comes from this idea in the trial, which is like once that you're accused of
Right.
something, the more that you deny what you're accused of, the more it proves that you're guilty of what you're accused of.
It's a Cardassian trial on Star
Oh,
Trek.
is that Cam or Robert? There are 7 lights.
Hey, that was good. That's the one.
That's
Those are the Cardassians. Merlin, would you present? Are you comfortable presenting the follow up on Steve Bannon's
Oh
two
yeah, I'll
shirts?
do the best I can. Let's see. I haven't read that article. I'll probably pass to you for going into the details of that one. Is that on the cut? Was that the cut?
Yeah, I don't really know what the cut is. But
I have just discovered. I kept seeing links to the cut, and I finally have started actually going in and seeking it out and reading it. And holy shit, what a great site! It's so. I love that
Really?
they do fashion. I think so. I love that they cover like, well, here's what's going on with Burberry and Fashion Week, and also like, here's why Steve Bannon wears 3 shirts. I love that.
Oh, it's a
Well,
fashion website.
It's a women's
Oh.
stuff website that does fashion, and also this, at least that particular woman, like she does great like political stuff.
I didn't know that. I'd never seen the site before, so there you go. All right, so this is from
He was
follow
on
up from
60,
the cut.
He was on 60 Minutes. He was on 60 Minutes. People have noticed in the past that Steve Bannon wears. He's like Heidi. I don't know if you remember the beginning of Heidi, where Heidi's walking up the mountain wearing all of her
Hello.
clothes. It seems strange. We constantly see Steve Bannon wearing multiple layers. Like, is this a preppy thing? What is this? And then on 60 Minutes, as we said, and I think in a previous episode, it looked to me like he was wearing like a polo shirt with like a going out to the disco shirt over it, with a blazer over that. And so this has America asking, why is Steve Bannon wearing so many shirts? What have we learned? Max?
All right, so this is from The Cut. While Bannon declined to explain on the record why he wears so many shirts at once, his spokesperson agreed to speak with me and offered to talk to Bannon's younger brother, Chris, a former Navy pilot whom he once worked with at a company called Biosphere 2. Pause. Did you know that Steve Bannon ran Biosphere?
No.
I didn't know that till recently.
It's insane.
Yep.
I went to Biosphere in Arizona. It was cool.
Bannon 90s. All I remember is remember that Pauly Shore movie. Was it Pauly Shore? Remember that movie?
Oh, yes, I
there a
saw
Pauly
that.
Shore?
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah.
Not good.
No.
Not
very
good.
bad.
Very bad. Worked with his brother, former Navy pilot, that created a space colony prototype in Arizona on my behalf in order to provide insight into his fashion history. Quote, sources and, quote, friends with, quote, knowledge of Bannon's wardrobe also talked. If you've ever wondered how Bannon came to be seen as some kind of looming man of mystery in the White House, this is part of it. Even information about the shirts he wears is treated like a kind of dark secret. Quote, friends of Bannon said that the shirt thing is something he picked up at military prep school, and that he refers to it as beach fashion. A representative for Benedictine College Preparatory, the Virginia school from which Bannon graduated in 1971, said he didn't know anything about multiple shirts being worn by students there currently or in the past, but that it was possible. Quote, I don't know what the uniform was exactly when Mr. Bannon was here, Mike Forster told me. It ranges from wearing camouflage fatigues and sometimes dress shirts or pants and tunics. There are not multiple shirts. Now, Merlin, you went to a military
Yeah.
prep school.
I did.
Did you
I
wear
did.
multiple shirts as part of your beach fashion?
Oh, you kidding me? For beach fashion, we always did. You know what? I remember there was a thing in the 80s for wearing 2 polo shirts when you pop the collar. That was a thing. That's not what he's doing. This is like Baron Harkonnen's going to go have a day at the beach. Like this does not make in.
I'm going to go have a lovely day at the beach.
Do you guys know my Baron Harkonnen reference that I'm doing from Jodorowsky's Dune? Is anyone getting that, or is that just for me?
It's
Have you
more
guys seen
of like-
Jodorowsky's Dune?
I've seen
Yes,
part of
I
it.
love it.
It's more that I know what you're referencing and I enjoy it.
When
than I
he's
fully
doing the
understand
interview
it.
about designing the giant, he was showing the art from what's the guy, Blueberry or whatever, and he did the
Whoa! You're talking about the ship, the ship with the tongue.
the ship with the tongue. But then Jodorowsky's such a fucking nut. He does the sound effects for everything, and is like, yeah, he does the sound effects.
And the tongue come out like this.
I rewound it 30 times to watch him do that. And I think about Baron Harkonnen's head, and then Jodorowsky doing the sound effect every time I see Steve Bannon talk.
I just think of the thing where he has the boy brought over where he can uncork him and just suck the blood out of him. Look at our super secret Google Doc for some very, very good photos of Steve Bannon.
Why? Oh.
No, go look. Look how
wait.
handsome that.
Oh, fuck. Oh, no. This is
Yeah.
more upsetting than his skin now. Is that the final picture? He looks like a fancy lad.
He was a fancy lad. He looks like Nick Lowe in some of these. Look at that.
Where is this?
in the super
So
secret.
we have a Google Doc.
Yeah, according to the whatever this is, you are in here.
I'm scrolling up and down. I don't see any pictures.
Very bottom. He seems to have a root.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Wow, he's
He looks good.
I would
you know,
like to
he
run
was
my
he
fingers
was
through those.
he was an '80s guy, and he clearly reached the peak of his sort of powers in the '80s, and he just never moved on. I guess I don't know.
He's working that look that I like to call Jean. You got to be real careful with working Jean. So if you're going to wear denim top, denim bottom, denim shirt, you need to be real careful because you're kind of getting into like a little bit of fetish wear. Like, be careful about Jean.
He's gone full blue jean committee.
You stop it. Stop your in jokes with me, you. Steve Bannon.
Merlin, you know that documentary about the Eagles? You should watch that. I think you'd like it.
Documentary about the Eagles, the two-parter that I've watched 6 times.
Hold on. Are we
No,
moving on from this article?
it's a documentary about the Eagles. You'd like it.
Oh, the Eagles. Are we moving on from this article? There's a very important paragraph.
No, I'm not. I'm
that
not
we
moving on.
skipped.
I'm not
Okay,
moving on.
good.
I'm not moving on.
I-
No
I-
moving.
I-
No moving.
Okay,
No moving,
all right.
no moving, no
We need to
moving.
get. All right.
All right. What the fuck were we talking about? Military
Yeah.
prep school. So you can confirm from your own personal investigation that this is not actually a thing for military
Well, in
prep
terms
school.
of disclosure, because I am an attorney, I went to school at a different time, but we would mostly wear one shirt. We were just glad. We'd call it mufti. Mufti is when you are out of uniform and you're wearing your regular street clothes, but with your dumb gay boy haircut. And so I would wear like a terry cloth shirt with maybe a terry cloth short. I would wear some Oxford tennis shoes. We never had those layers. I can't say I was in St. Petersburg. Where was he? Where is Steve Bannon from?
Well, I don't know. He went to Benedictine College Preparatory in Virginia. What is a tunic? It says that the guy from the school said that the students wear camouflage fatigues and sometimes dress shirts or pants and tunics. What is a tunic?
I think of a tunic as a sleeveless bag-like imagine like almost like a nightshirt with no sleeves. I would call it tunic.
I am only familiar
Alex?
with tunics in the starting gear that you get in every RPG, where it's like
Oh,
a
yeah.
rough tunic. One
Rough tunic,
AP, right? One
you
armor
gotta make
point.
your crafting table.
Right.
Yeah, I see a tunic undergarment. Oh, look at
And
that.
then as
He's
soon
got
as
a
you get the
goblet.
damaged leather armor, you put that on.
Right. It
Okay.
looks like a potato sack with just like a head hole cut out.
Okay. So it's like what a poor person in a 1940s cartoon wears. It's like if you don't have a barrel,
If you
you
can't
have
afford a
tunic.
barrel.
Yeah.
Where do they get those barrels? Who's coming up with this stuff?
Forster added that he and Bannon are roughly the same age. Quote, and I remember when I was in college, there were kids who wore multiple shirts. They'd wear a turtleneck with a shirt and a jacket. Many of the men featured in a promotional video on the school's website appear to be wearing at least 2 shirts at once, which is a start. Never 2. Never 2, his spokesman said, of the exact number of shirts worn by Bannon himself at any given time. Never 1. Certainly never 1. And most of the time, never 2. It's usually 3. He usually has 3 shirts on.
Well, one is none.
He's a layering extremist, if you will, adhering to a disheveled uniform of shirts from Brooks Brothers and Orvis, a brand that makes clothes for fly fishing and other outdoor sports.
I got some more of this.
He does not fly fish. He keeps them both folded and hanging in his closet at the Breitbart headquarters, a townhouse in D.C. known as the, quote, Breitbart Embassy, as well as in other unspecified closets and unspecified locations. Quote, they are not all long sleeve, his spokesperson explained. There are some polos that are short sleeve. They added that when wearing a suit in the White House, perhaps he only wore 2 shirts beneath his blazer, an undershirt and then a button down, but he wasn't sure. Now, all right, I'm going to cop to this. If wearing an undershirt and a button down shirt counts as wearing 2 shirts, then I'm a 2-shirt man. I especially when it's cold, I almost always wear an undershirt under my.
Oh yeah. Well,
Under my
I
dress
feel
shirt.
like it's like not wearing underpants. Like, of course you have an undershirt.
You're gonna sweat. You're gonna get. I don't know. It's like a layering thing as well. If it's cold, I don't know.
I'm going to just speak from experience. This is not about Steve Bannon, but I'm going to speak for myself. I know that there have been times in my life, my very young life, that I'm having, there have been times in my life when I haven't particularly liked the way my body looks. And I know that there's a couple things one can do. I don't know if these work, but it feels like they work. There's 2 things you can do. One thing you can do is to have a couple layers that do not reveal every bump and invagination. If you wear a couple 3 layers, you get a smoothing effect, and you wear something black. That's what I know. Okay. I think there's a reason that a lot of business guys wear a droopy black suit or even a tailored black suit, because a suit can cover up a blazer, even a blazer. You look sharper than if you're just like, wearing a tunic. But it also covers up so much I'm not saying this is about Steve Bannon and the president, but I am saying that it is conceivable that one would dress like that because it covers a lot of physical inconsistencies.
So this is the masculine equivalent of Spanx, basically. It's just putting on enough shirts so you don't see any lumps.
I guess but it's not even that you want to hold it in, where you could wear like a man girdle.
You just eventually you put on so many clothes that you're wearing like a ghillie suit, and you could just sort of.
You could get a boy corset.
Chris Bannon, his brother, conveyed through a spokesperson his agreement that an astounding number of shirts was normal for Steve. He added that wearing an undershirt underneath a dress shirt underneath a blazer, which is only one shirt shy of his brother's style, has historically been considered normal. And I have to agree that is historically normal. What's weird about Steve Bannon is he wears one more shirt than me. He wears 2 button-down shirts. That's very weird. Bannon's spokesperson also thought it was important to note that he is particular about what he adorns his shirts and blazers with. A series of pens, usually the Pilot Precise V5 stick rolling ball pen, which I'm very upset about because that is my pen that I like. I like the Pilot Precise V5 extra fine in black. Like with the shirts, the pens travel with Bannon through the world in multiples. Quote, what did the shirt say about Steve Bannon? His spokesperson added before answering the question. He's always got a contingency plan. If one shirt gets ruined, put on the next one. If the pen dies, just use another pen.
So 3 is 2, 2 is 1, and 1 is none. He's ready. He's good to go.
Yep. Bannon life hacks. Great.
Life hack. I sent you more. Cut this out. I sent you more good articles from The Cut that can make you decide whether you like this thing.
Oh, there's one here that's like 7 weird secrets your doctor doesn't want you to know about vaginas. Mm-hmm. It's from our partners. That's their partners, Marlon. That's how you know it's good. It's just from their partners. It's from Mind Body Green. 7 vagina myths this doctor wants to clear up right now. Let's see what they are.
Vagina myths.
Safari cannot open this page. The error was the URL was blocked by a content blocker. Thank you, Safari.
Yep, it was Ghostery also blocked it on mine.
Well, what's a funny thing? What's a funny thing is all the sites that shame you and try to make you feel bad about content blockers and like, oh, we're doing really good work. You should support it to do beedly diddly dee. And then they fucking shit out those giant blocks of CSS-styled nonsense for their quote-unquote partners. And it's every time I see that, I'm like, I understand everybody's got to make money, but like, do the people who publish this ever really think about the damage? I'm not talking about The Cut here. This is true for everybody. Like, there used to be those, what was it, Taboodle? Like, or any of those, like, stuff from our partners. And it's always like, it's a hot chick and a foot and a skin problem, you know what I mean? Those sets of like 4 images and like 17 things they don't want you to know about your
There's
TV.
one that I'm haunted by, and it's a picture of a giant disembodied foot on a beach, like a huge foot, and it's just like you won't believe what these celebrities look like now.
Oh no!
And it's like, you want me to click this so I can find out if one of the celebrities turned into a huge foot on a beach. I'm haunted by this one. Like, I see it all the time and I think about it all the time.
Are you ready to feel old? This is half of the Olsen twins. I'm a foot.
James Damore is going to turn into a giant foot. He's halfway there. All right, here's a good topic for Do by Friday. So our friend Paul Saborin from Paul and Storm tweeted the other day. He goes at 9:12 a.m. He goes, they share a Twitter account like an old like a married couple.
And they sign them like Hillary
address.
Clinton. It's so cute. It's always P.
Yeah, so it's like P. No, well, if it's an angry politics tweet, it's an S. So it's like P. Paul. It's 10 a.m. and I've already been to Chicago and back today. How's your morning? So I texted him and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, you came into Chicago for like the morning and then left, and we didn't even get breakfast or an airport tour or anything. And Paul texts me back and he goes, FYI, I was doing a quote mileage run this morning to meet an elite status challenge for American. Flew to ORD, turned around, and flew back 40 minutes later.
I didn't think this is real. Is that really real? People do this?
Paul did it. I mean, what he's saying is he needed to pick up some extra miles to keep his elite status.
God.
And
I've
so
heard
he
about
did. He
this.
basically did an extraneous flight where he flew to Chicago and back just to put some miles on the books so his status didn't get downgraded at the last second.
That is mental.
I mean, I think it's possible that Paul is like a deals guy.
How do you mean? Oh, you think he's a couponier?
He's a couponier. You know these guys?
Oh, I know these guys. I used to be like that a little bit with miles. Okay, so just to clear the decks on this, because I do want to talk about couponiers. But like, so what level are we talking about? Are we talking about like 25K? We talking 100K? Like, how much are we talking about? Because he usually drives, I think.
He has
Elite is big.
He has elite status with American.
What the
And-
fuck
no,
does
Paul
that
flies
mean?
Paul flies everywhere. I know because I fly places.
All
with him.
right, but apparently not enough. So you think it's like 50,000 mile, 100,000 mile, like big? We're talking about big numbers. We're not talking about you're going to get one first
He
class
has
upgrade
He has 100,000 miles.
a year.
Yeah.
Shit, dog. That's a lot of pirates. Woo! Wow. Okay, and so the idea is you're getting near the end of what, a quarter, an eighth, or whatever, part of a year, and if you don't get your end miles in by that or bought ticketed flights, then you lose your quote unquote elite status. Is that right?
I think that's how it works.
I think he's a couponier. Yeah.
All right, I've done 15,271 miles, which feels like not a lot, but enough that I should get some like an extra apple or something.
I'll send you something.
I have status on United and because I like, but listen, for anyone listening to this,
That's like
it's
having
not-
status for the middle passage.
these people, I'm a pretty big fan of United, but I think I've had better experiences. Well, so you have to keep in mind Chicago's a United hub. So like in and out of O'Hare, United is quite good because they have like higher priority than other airlines over runways and stuff. But I know people are it's very divisive. I generally have a good experience at United, except that their goddamn fucking Wi-Fi never works. But here's the deal. If you fly a lot for work, I mean, you probably already figured this out, but as someone explained it to me, like, it's not a mystery. Just pick an airline and always fly that airline, and eventually you'll get status. It'll just take care of itself. And it's pretty nice. I get, like, first-class upgrades and stuff sometimes.
I buy that a little bit. I definitely buy that if you live in Chicago, or if you live in Atlanta, or you live in, like, I guess Los Angeles. But, like, it's sort of like my old back to work thing of like, what do you want 10 times more of? And like for me, United has not been a smooth thing. I would do that with Virgin and JetBlue because I'm a fancy boy.
There is no more Virgin.
No, it's still around. They're sunsetting it, but it's still its own brand inside of Alaska. I know, but for another year, it's still technically Virgin, I think.
They took away my Virgin Elevate points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you got emails about it.
They're now like Alaska Airline Dogecoins or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what they use.
Oh, is that what they use? Inuit bucks? 15,721 miles.
It's
according to
6
TripIt.
liters of whale blubber.
Oh, that's very difficult. Is that metric?
No, it's
Ambergris?
I have they converted all my Virgin Elevate points into ambergris.
You're gonna cut out me saying it first, aren't you? Your travel.
Wait, I
stats.
can't. Did you just make that joke?
Yes.
I can't fucking hear Merlin in my headphones.
How's it
this
going,
week.
buddy?
I'm
You
sorry.
hear the crackle? The crackle. Release the crackle.
No, I can't. I can barely hear you. Like you're like a whisper, and Alex is the loudest thing I've ever heard.
That's because Alex ducks me. She also mutes me on
headphone.
Twitter. Alex mutes me on Twitter, and she ducks me on the podcast. You heavily ducked me last week. You ducked me hard. I got ducked. Because I in the original cut, I sounded great. And Max said, everybody's too loud. And then you compressed me and you ducked me so hard I disappeared.
No, the opposite, Merlin.
Yes,
the opposite.
The opposite of that. The opposite.
You were too quiet. You just have whatever. We'll talk about this later.
This is the show. Everything that's in the show is in the show. And that's why you got to throw it out if there's any bad parts.
Oh, wait. We did not finish the couponiers.
Oh, sorry, the couponiers.
We did not exhaust this topic.
Okay, yes, I think it's a thing. I tried to mention this to you in our abortive episode yesterday. I am shit with coupons. Where I get a coupon, like from our bookstore. Hey, guess what? You bought enough books. Here's $10 for books. I get a gift card. I have no idea how to manage this stuff. I'm terrible at it. Whereas other people, you know what? I bet Paul will get in his goddamn van and drive somewhere to get a coupon. I think that's how he rolls.
I don't really do coupons because, and it kind of falls into my theory of somebody's getting fucked.
Oh, you're so getting fucked. You're so getting. Well, Walgreens gives you that little like, oh, guess what? You get $7 bonus when you buy participating pads. And you're like,
Right.
No, you're fucking me.
Yeah, if you go to the grocery store and you have your coupon for like half off a case of Diet Coke or whatever, it's like, listen, somebody's getting fucked, right? Someone is not is somehow somebody's getting fucked because there's no free money. And listen, you consider all the parties involved, right? You have the Coca-Cola Corporation, the grocery store, and you. Let me tell you something about getting fucked. The house never loses. They're not losing their $7. I guarantee you somehow at the end of the day, you're the one who's getting fucked. They know that if they give you the coupon, you'll spend more in the chip aisle, right? Like they'll get you something by the balls some other way. So I don't do the coupons. I feel like somebody's definitely getting fucked. I feel like the only way, I know there's these like deals websites where people like spend their waste away their lives trying to like collect yogurt lids.
Oh, you got to
or
get
some shit like that.
flues beans and box tops.
Yeah. Like the people literally do that yogurt shit. So I had a friend
that
in
is
Chicago.
such a fucking jam up. You know somebody's getting fucked, and it's not the Komen Foundation. Give me a fucking
Well, in that
break.
case, it was the yogurt company.
big yogurt.
But so someone I had a friend in Chicago who did one of these things where, so when the federal government released I think it was like their new dollar coins or something like that. They had a program where you could order them from the mint, from the U.S. Mint, because they were trying to get them into circulation. So they were like, you can order these coins from the mint, and we'll send them to you for free. Free shipping on the coins, because they want to get them in circulation, and they had to deal with the post office. So what he did was he took his credit card and bought $100,000 worth of dollar coins and had them sent to Chicago, and then took the coins to the bank and deposited them into his bank account and paid off the credit card bill. But he converted the credit card points into like miles or something like that.
Oh, it's a kind of existential arbitrage.
That's a good one, because really who's getting fucked? I guess just the taxpayers, but so in such a small amount that it would be imperceptible, right? Like we're all paying
Okay, sure, they won't mind. They're used to that. Yeah.
Well, we all paid a hundredth of a penny for that.
Okay.
For that.
Okay.
For that deal, right? But but here's the thing, though: is that your life? That's your life now? Is you're hauling around a wheelbarrow full of dollar coins and maxing out your credit card? And
I knew people who used to, like, every summer. I guess I don't know if they still do this. I'm not so much of a McDonald's EA as I used to be, but time was that every summer they had the Monopoly card thing where you go in, you get the Monopoly cards, Monopoly. You get the Monopoly cards, you take it off of your drink, and you save them up, and you try and get a boardwalk in a park place, et cetera, et cetera. I knew people, and they had rules, right? A guy went to military school, did this. They had rules. You could only come once per hour. And so basically they would spend their entire weekend going from McDonald's to McDonald's, collecting as many as they can. I still think they're playing small ball, if I might say. I don't think at that point you were operating on a high level couponier level. Now, if you're buying lots of Krugerrands and having them delivered, that's another thing. Also, paying for things, isn't this the big trick? You pay for something with a credit card that gets you miles. That's what happened with the Krugerrands, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you pay for something, and this is why I say it's existential arbitrage, because you pay for it with your credit card, you get points back or miles on your card, and then the real arbitrage is you find some way to make more than it cost to deal with the thing that you're getting. Is that the idea? And it should be something either useful that you will actually use, or more often, it could be something whatever you sell on eBay. Is that the idea?
Yep.
Because that's a lifestyle. That's not a fun hobby. That's a lifestyle. That's like a whole. Now you're like one of those people like on cable TV, and that's like all you do now is you're that guy. You're the new couponier.
Well, as my friend Aziz describes it, it's like winning a hot dog eating contest, and the first prize is more hot dogs.
Oh God! Talk about Gramsci. Shit, dog.
Late stage capitalism. All right, let's talk about the challenge. We got to talk about reading Art of the Deal.
Art of the Deal.
Merlin, why'd you pick this one? And what did you like about it?
I don't like you.
What'd you learn?
He doesn't like you either. I forget how it happened. Dig Dug. If you give us your fucking money on Patreon, you get to listen to an extra bonus episode for every public episode the plebes get. And that is where we talk about our challenges. And we talk to one another, frankly, about what we'd like to do. And we gossip about our friends. And I don't remember how we got onto the topic of this.
I have some good shit for the after show. I have some items that I've brought to this. I'm going to give to Allie.
I don't see
because
them.
I'm a little. Well, they're in my backpack. I'm a little scared of them. I'm going to give them to you, and we'll talk about it in the after show.
Okay, sign up.
You can subscribe at Patreon.com/DoByFriday.
Do by Friday.
And but you have to say if you're a cop.
Yep. Let me smell your dick. So you, I never read Art of the Deal. So here's my background with Art of the Deal. I remember it being a purportedly very popular book. I sent you guys a link to this last night. I remember when Funny or Die, out of nowhere, released the Art of the Deal movie with Johnny Depp, which is not great, but pretty funny and has a lot of great cameos, which is a very, I don't know if you, did you guys ever watch it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I saw you sent the Netflix thing, and I don't have time in my life to watch that, but I'm very curious about what it is.
Well, it dropped out of nowhere during the election. And it's one of those like, oh my God, I didn't even know they were working on this. They dropped this thing, it's Art of the Deal. And of course, it's very Tim and Eric-ish. It really looks like a video from the late 80s or early 90s. Like every aspect of it, all of the chyrons and the graphics and everything. And it's Johnny Depp as Donald Trump and a cast of lots of very funny people in different roles. And the conceit is that a little boy steals a copy of the best-selling book of all time, Art of the Deal, and he gets caught by security, almost gets caught, so he hides in Donald Trump's office. And now Donald Trump is going to walk him through what it takes to really learn the art of the deal. How he got the Taj Mahal away from Merv Griffin, played by Patton Oswalt, like all of this great stuff. And it goes through all the 10 deal points that you learn. That's been my background with the book. That said, there's also been a lot of hot take think pieces in the last year about what we can learn about Donald Trump from reading Art of the Deal, which is not much because he's a terrible turd of a human.
But I don't think you can learn anything about Donald Trump because he didn't write the book. It was written by that guy, Tony Shalhoub.
Tony Schwartz. Tony Shalhoub. He's the guy. There's a man inside of his head inside that Alien movie.
Monk.
Psych. Yeah. So anyway, I thought it'd be fun to read. I flipped through it a little bit. I tried to find references to the children in Russia. Anyway, it's a terrible book, and I'm sorry I assigned it. It was a terrible challenge.
I didn't have much to add. I enjoyed the quote. I've read hundreds of books about China over the decades. I know the Chinese. I've made a lot of money with the Chinese. I understand the Chinese mind. That is awesome. He's got some real fired for truth calipers going on and really understanding that Chinese mind. I don't know, mostly what I took away from it is that there isn't a coherent message or ideology of the book, that the only message is, the message I took away from the book is that there's some sirens going on there. Someone call the cops about what I said I was going to talk about in the after show already? Alex is on her phone here.
Alex, why are you on your phone? Get off your phone.
No, I'm looking at my fun quotes.
All right. Here's what I took away from reading this was there's no real coherent message or ideology or original thought in the book. It's just that Trump looks at he is kind of a sociopath, and he looks at the rest of the world and he sees an array of human vulnerabilities that would make people engage in systems of trust and respect, and that he can basically take advantage of these systems, that he can sort of have an arbitrage on deal making if he has no integrity and asks for everything he wants and bullies other people into submission. And that the idea is that you should never respect your opponent and not sort of enter into these relationships of mutuality and commonality and respect that bind mere human beings.
Yeah, basically become a professional weasel because it might give you some kind of an advantage. But those are all means. If there's one thing, and I don't mean to turn this into a KKK Fire for Truth Twitter poll, but the one message you can take away from all of this, I think, and I hate to do this long distance. This is unkind. He's another human being. But the bottom line is, he did not get a lot of love from his father, and it's apparent in every single thing that he does. I hate to do that reductive, liberal bullshit, but it's fucking true. You can trace almost everything he does to the fact that he has an unslakable desire for his father's approval and basically his affection. I don't think he got that. And I think every transactional decision that he makes in his life can be written straight down to the idea that there is this tower that he's never going to be able to climb, which is his father, who is dead, didn't particularly like him, and he'll never impress him, and there's no way to really succeed, but he'll do everything he can to do what he thinks his father would have liked.
It's obvious. I agree. I mean, I think that's a pretty spot-on reading of him, and I think it's obvious in Trump's character that he's a pretty miserable guy, and he has no real satisfaction, right? He's he hungers, but he's never full.
He doesn't laugh. As everybody notes, he doesn't laugh. How do you trust someone who never laughs?
He wishes for company, but he's never satisfied with people. He's thirsty, but his drinks don't slake his thirst. It's like he always has these needs, and so in absence of like any sort of like satisfaction or accomplishment, he wants this sort of tangible trappings of accomplishment that nobody can. How do I put it? That it's like nobody can deny, right? It's like if you live in a golden house and you sit on a throne, nobody can take away from you that you have all the outward trappings of being rich. It's undeniable. He's forcing everyone to see him in the way that he wants to be seen. So it's like absent his own internalized happiness, he's like, well, I'll inflict the way I want to be seen on you. And in my heart, it really upsets me that he's the president and that now we all have to look at him in that way, right? That he wanted power and he got it.
He wants, I agree. I think you really nailed it with that part of like the indisputable part. So, but like in his eyes, right? So what happens? So he gets the hottest wife for now. He gets the goldest apartment that is available. And then he has put that out there in a way that in his mind is unassailable, undisputable. Nobody has the biggest and the best like I do. And then you know what? New York, which is its own scene, looks at him and goes, eh. And I think that drives him crazy. Washington doesn't even have time to go, eh. Washington looks at him and says, oh, you don't understand how this works. I think it drives him crazy that he's done everything that he can think of to make himself look like a big shot, and it still is not enough for people to respect him. He has no desire to do the hard work of doing the things that make someone actually respect you for being a decent human being. And it drives him utterly crazy that he will not be acknowledged by everybody as being as great as he would like to believe that he is. And there's no end to that. There's no bottom to that. There is no floor to that feeling. If you never get past that feeling that every 14-year-old boy has, you will never be a real human being. He's fundamentally broken inside.
What really freaked me out about the first chapter of the book that's like a week in the life is, it's just a manic series of phone calls and meetings that don't seem to make any sense or like have any sort of purpose or goals at the end of them. And it sounds exactly what all of the like leaks coming out of the White House are, that it's just chaos, people coming in and out. And it's like, okay, this is what he thinks success is. And it really feels like he has this thing of like, he wasn't the one true heir. And the book talks about this a little bit about how his brother dies like tragically, but it feels like he wasn't like the chosen one, and it was always, well, I want to strike out and go to Manhattan and do my own thing, because Freddie was the one who was supposed to be the real estate guy. You know,
if there's one thing that I can take away from this that makes me feel better, it's this, I'm watching the Ken Burns Vietnam War documentary, which may be an upcoming challenge to watch like the first installment of that.
The first 10 hours of
I don't know, Alex, I don't know what are your thoughts on Ken Burns, but like I think he's a very powerful filmmaker, and his last few films have been a little formulaic. He's kind of doing...
I will save it for a future show.
That team has more of a point of view than they want to admit, but they are brilliant at executing what that point of view is. That's my only thought on that.
I thought jazz was pretty good, but baseball was not good at all. And I felt concerned that I was like, maybe Ken Burns is sort of over, that he's just going to kind of fall into a comfortable shtick for the rest of his career, and we won't sort of get the lively excitement of the best of his filmmaking. And holy shit, this Vietnam documentary is fucking from the first you watch the first 5 minutes, the sort of intro of the whole thing, and it's just unlike anything else I've ever seen. It is powerful.
The setup for that is very, very, the setup is very good. You know what else I would recommend? You can find, I think for free out there, it's in the PBS app. There's a 25-minute preview of the series that shows a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, how they spent 10 years on this, just how they made the music for this is really quite good. Whether or not you agree with their POV, and I think it's important as a grown-up to figure out what somebody's POV is, they feel like they have created something that adequately shows every single side of it as well as can be told. And I don't know if that's true or not, but when people say things like that, I start watching extra double careful. With that said, it's a great piece of art. It is a very good piece of art.
I thought their treatment of Ho Chi Minh was excellent, and I thought And I thought the whole Americans don't really. So oh God, we're way in the weeds of what I wanted to talk about, but whatever. Americans don't really know anything about the French occupation of Vietnam. It's very hard for me to. I can't believe people have opinions about the Vietnam War and they don't know anything about the French occupation of Vietnam and the Vietnam, Revolutionary War and all of that. So it's like you kind of have to. They did a very good job handling that.
When they got to the point of Ho Chi Minh writing letters to Harry Truman that were never delivered to Harry Truman, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, I'm a pretty happy customer as long as they get into some of the background. So you understand Vietnam was not just a country that was sitting there while we, at the time that we had a proxy war with China. Like it actually, these people have never had they never had respite from conflict for like 100 years. But okay, all of that aside, I'm in the second segment of the documentary and they're talking about this sort of hearts and minds era of the war where they're building what were they called them, the protective hamlets or whatever. But then they'd go out and like torch a whole village and kill all the women and children. And then people in Washington, they were like, whoa, these people, they're turning against us. I can't understand why. Like, why aren't we winning over their hearts and minds? And that's the thing that ultimately consoles me. And obviously, like that was the key insight that caused us to humiliate ourselves on the international stage and lose that war, was that we fundamentally didn't really understand how bad things had gotten for us until it was way too late. And that's when you have that amount of force kind of crushing you, like all you have left is the hearts and minds. It's like, it's like you could take everything from me except for that. And that's ultimately what I keep coming back to about Trump, is like, you can live in a golden castle and you can sit in your throne and you can be the president and you can have all the trappings of power. It really says something about our society that Trump, from The Art of the Deal, his whole thing is treat people with the least amount of dignity and have the least amount of empathy and don't be clouded by any sort of human characteristics. They're all weaknesses. And that got him so far that he's the president now. And I resent that. I resent that about the man. I resent that about the society that enabled him. I resent that about the political process that was so easily hijacked by that simple, computer virus of a lack of morals. But what can you do? It's like the only thing I come back to is like, I don't have to respect him. Like I can think that he's a tacky piece of shit, and I don't have to respect the trappings of his power. I think I've been thinking about like watching the Vietnam documentary and the Trump stuff. Like I'm obsessed with this poem by this guy Bertolt Brecht. He was like a Jewish poet who wrote a lot about the Holocaust from World War II. And this is the poem. We actually put this in the inscription in the back of Secret Hitler. But it's very short. But it's a poem called "General, Your Tank is a Powerful Vehicle." And he says, "General, your tank is a powerful vehicle. It smashes down forests and crushes 100 men, but it has one defect. It needs a driver. General, your bomber is powerful. It flies faster than a storm and carries more than an elephant, but it has one defect. It needs a mechanic. General, man is very useful. He can fly and he can kill, but he has one defect. He can think."
Oh, that's really
very good. Art of the Deal.
So, I don't know. Art of the Deal. That's what I came away from it, is like, I can understand Trump's will to power, but I don't have to respect
else to say
him.
about this book. It was terrible, and I agree with everything Max said.
My style of deal making is quite simple and straightforward. I aim very high, and then I just keep pushing and pushing and pushing to get what I'm after.
No, come on, Max, do the voice. Please do the voice.
I'm retiring the voice. You do it.
All right, let's see. Is it in here? Let's see.
Oh, yeah, it's in there. I have a couple of good Trump quotes. Do the modern art one.
My style of deal making is quite simple and straightforward. I aim very high, and I just keep pushing and pushing and pushing to get what I'm after. I've made a lot of money with the Chinese. I understand the Chinese mind. I've always felt that a lot of modern art is a con.
I believe in spending what you have to, but I also believe in not spending more than you should.
No, thank you.
Means.
That's a good...
It's so bad.
Wow, highlight that. That's a good one. Popular highlight.
The worst times often create the best opportunities to make good deals. A door becomes a window.
God never opens a billionaire without closing a millionaire.